It's important to emphasize that the support provided tonight will effect tangible change in the lives of those who need it most in our community. No one in the early stages of life hatches a plan to become addicted. No one dreams that one day they too will watch every bright spot dull, eventually extinguished by the ravages of alcoholism. New opportunities for access to life-saving treatment will be championed here tonight. And for that, I, the entire team at Miklat, and the innumerable people who are to be helped, thank you. As we gather this evening for Miklat's Magic of Christmas Gala, we respectfully acknowledge that we are on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Tla'amin Nation. The Tla'amin people have stewarded this land for countless generations, nurturing its beauty, resources, and community. We honor their enduring connection to this place and express deep gratitude for the opportunity to come together on these sacred lands. In the spirit of the season, let us embrace the values of respect, reconciliation, and community, ever remaining mindful of the history and the culture of the Tla'amin people, whose traditions and stories continue to shape this region. May tonight's gathering inspire us to support and uplift one another, as well as the broader communities we are privileged to be a part of. Thank you. So we'll now have the program manager at Miklat, Rob Fitzpatrick, get us up to speed a bit with forthcoming initiatives, various endeavors that our Recovery Society is working ardently to make manifest. A host of exciting developments are in the works. We look forward to hearing about them. Please help me welcome Rob.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rob Fitzpatrick. I'm the manager at Miklat. Thank you for joining us at the Miklat Magic of Christmas Gala. Tonight we celebrate not just the season of giving, but also the incredible power of community, resilience, and transformation. At Miklat, we believe in a simple yet profound truth. Addiction treatment should be available to everyone, regardless of income. Recovery is not a privilege. It is a human right. It is a pathway to hope, to healing, and to a brighter future for individuals and families alike. Tonight we honor the incredible strength of the men who walk through our doors seeking help. It takes immense courage to confront addiction, to face the pain, and to choose a new way of life. As staff, we are privileged to witness their transformation. And I know as I speak for all of us when I say how proud we are of their journeys. We are equally proud of the public's unwavering support for these individuals, celebrating their success stories and standing in awe of their determination to overcome adversity. We are in the midst of a public health crisis, one that touches every community, large and small. But small communities like ours have a unique power, the ability to come together, to lift each other up, and to create something truly special. A community within a community. At Miklat, this means building a network of people in recovery who give back, who serve, and who inspire hope for others. This year has been transformative for Miklat in many ways. We are now part of Together We Can, an organization with 31 years of experience in addiction treatment. This partnership brings incredible benefits from shared resources to collective wisdom, while allowing us to remain true to our identity as an independent program rooted in love, compassion, and passions of our incredible therapists and staff. Many of our team members are themselves in recovery, and their empathy and understanding are the lifeblood of our work. And there's even more to look forward to. In June 2025, we will expand to include 12 new beds, opening our doors to even more people in need of support. And in the same year, we will take another monumental step, the establishment of a women's center. These expansions reflect not only our growth, but also our unwavering commitment to meeting the needs of our community. Tonight is a celebration of success stories, of resilience, and of the extraordinary power of human connection. As we enjoy the night, let us remember that we are all part of the solution. By coming together, we can turn the tide of this crisis and build a future where everyone has the opportunity to recover, to thrive, and to give back. Thank you for your support, your generosity, and your belief in what we do. Together, we can continue to change lives one story at a time. Thank you.
We've reached the stage of the evening wherein a few wildly courageous folks have decided to come up and share with you some of their experience, strength, and hope. The sort of insidious and merciless trajectory that often, if not always, characterizes life lived in active addiction is, in my very own experience, akin to a state of complete and utter enslavement. While the bondage may seemingly be of one's own making, the despair, hopelessness, confusion, heartbreak touches the lives and landscape of every other that brush up against our own. The wholesale transformation that occurs in the men and women who recover, those who finally find firm footing atop stable soils after so long being battered at sea, is nothing short of a miracle. The men we're now to hear from have all, each and every one, weathered those torrential storms and have now been brought to shore. Our first speaker is a man very dear to me, very dear to anyone who's fortunate enough to spend any length of time getting to know him. Very recently graduated from the 90-day program at Miklat, Jason has made his return to the southern coast and is missed profoundly by his recovery family up here. Please help me welcome Jason.
Hi. I'm Jason, and I'm in recovery.
Jason?
All right, how's that work? Yeah, we'll figure it out. But honestly, that is the first time I've ever said I'm in recovery, or as identified as being in recovery. And that's because my time at Miklat. A very smart guy taught me and reminded me how much words truly matter. Not only to the ones you say to your others, but more importantly, the ones you say to yourself. I also feel that I should warn you that I am completely unprepared for this speech. Certainly do not identify as a motivational speaker as advertised. In fact, I can feel Rob sweating right now saying, "Oh God, please Jason, don't drop all the F-bombs." But that same man also taught me the power of walking straight through a challenge rather than running from or walking around it. He also taught me the power of having a plan, but in the spirit of being open, honest, in the spirit of this being an open and honest program, I've decided to walk up here tonight and completely unprepared, sorry Matt, and do something that has been one of the many cornerstones of my journey thus far. And that's to be honest, authentic, vulnerable, and speak from my heart. About a place and a program that, have no doubt in your minds, truly saved my life. So, in that being said, that's all I got for that. I walked into, well, let's start with where I was. I was dwell too long there. I've been kind of on a 35-year train ride wreck with alcohol and drugs and addiction. And it all accumulated about 8 months ago to a point where I was going to end the pain one way or the other. I had truly given up. I didn't know where to turn. I didn't think anybody understood. At the point I was at, as Scott alluded to, and that I felt completely as a slave, completely disgusted with who I was, and scared. I mean, one thing for me was that I wanted out. There was no denial on my part. I just didn't think anybody got it. I truly felt completely alone in where I was. I was completely unprepared. First it says slow down and breathe. Thank you, man. So yeah, how God kind of got me there was, I won't call it too much, but I lost my entire family when I was 10 years old in a house fire. I kind of white knuckled through life and figured a few things out in my 20s and kind of did okay. You know, didn't get a whole lot of help with it, but I thought I was doing all right, raised some good kids, had a good career. But I also fell into an industry and a generation that it was kind of expected to drink. It was part of, if you were one of those guys in that crew, you didn't climb the ladder. You know, so for me it was the true definition of progressive disease. Once my kids were out of the house and things just got really, really dark. And like I said, then, as I've learned, I found some help from Miklat. And first, I waited a little bit to get in, and I was cautiously optimistic. I'd been denied many times before. I was actually told that I didn't drink enough by people who decide that I didn't drink enough. So I made too much money. Where do you figure that out, right? Anyway, I did get into Miklat, and when you first get there, you meet the peer support staff. I'll touch on them a bit. They, first guy I met, figured he's a little bit of a, you know, by the rules guy, but turned out to be one of my saviors. And then they put you in with these counselors, and I've had experienced counselors in the past, and they always pointed to losing my family as there's your problem, right? And it just never felt that way to me. So I went into this first counseling session, and she said to me, "Jason, why do you drink?" Tried to come up with some idea of what policy she wanted to hear. I really didn't know, and I kind of said, "Well, that's kind of why I'm here. You know, I want to figure this out. I do not want this anymore." And she said that only you can figure that out. And she sat and looked at me. I walked out of that trailer, and God, they paid that woman way too much money. And, but you know, the addict in me is, but the next 3 days I walked around, and that, sorry, it's really hard not to draw the animals. That, only you can figure that out, rolled in my head for days and days and days. And it set me down a path of a self-exploration of myself that I didn't know I had in me. Eventually I came to some conclusions by getting really brutally honest with myself. And I won't dwell into that. But once I did that, I had what everybody hopes for, I guess. I call it my light switch moment. I call it spiritual awakening. It happened for me. All of a sudden I got it. Something just clicked. And I got it. And things just started to happen. I surrendered completely. I let go. I found a new evolving passion for spirituality. And I started to really just enjoy the process of exploring who I was and who I might be able to be. The only problem was I didn't know what I looked like sober. I never been on a sober. I never been in these rooms sober. I mean, I didn't know what that looked like. That terrified me. And where I gained that power was from that house. There's a room in that house that is the safest place I've ever been. Just cool shit happened there. It's people understood. There was no judgment for me. And I started to progress. So, for me, what happened was, once I had that awakening, and I spent 3-4 days trying to figure out what was wrong with me. And long story short, I couldn't figure out how I felt. I couldn't figure out what it was. And it dawned on me. It was peace. It was freedom. And it was a peace that I didn't know, or I had never felt. I'm talking like right from my gut peace. And it was something that I just didn't truly know. And I have been holding on to that to this day. The house truly, truly saved my life. Something I'd like to share with you. So I got to a point when I graduated, that one of the staff members, the day of my graduation, and as my words are not coming near as well as I hoped, he picked this for me. We have a book in the house that we do quotes and stuff, and we pick a number. He picked this for me because he felt that it's where I was in my graduation year. And then it happens. One day you wake up and you're in this place where everything feels right. Your heart is calm, your soul is lit, your thoughts are positive, your vision is clear. You're at peace. At peace with where you have been, at peace with what you've been through, and at peace with who you are headed, or where you're headed. And that is truly thanks to Miklat, the staff, the brothers, where I am today. The camaraderie, the brotherhood, Corey, the platoon, there are people in this room that I know that if I called them from Vancouver and had a hangnail, they would be in a car, and I said I needed them, they would be there. And there's such power in that for me. And not how this also gives me that. Probably run out of time, so I do have one more thing I'd like to share with you. Since I brought cheers, we tell them it's great to go this way. So when I graduated, I have a very good friend of mine who, his family kind of adopted me after I lost mine. And I lost my way with them for a long time. They pulled me out of that last dark spot and helped me get where I am today. And his mother gave me a gift on my graduation day, and it was a poem that was in her brother's, hanging in her brother's house, who had been a member of AA for 35 years, sober, 40, and this poem hung in his front door. He just died 2 years ago, and he said he read it every single day. And she gave the actual poem that hung in his house to me. I'd like to read for you. It's called Nan Glass. When you get what you want in your struggle for life, and the world makes you king for a day, just go to the mirror and look at yourself, and see what that man has to say. For it isn't your father, or your mother, or your wife, whose judgment upon you must pass. The fellow whose murder counts most in your life is the one staring back from the glass. He's the fellow to please, never mind all the rest, for he's with you clear to the end. And you've passed your most difficult, dangerous test if the man in the glass is your friend. You may fool the whole world down the pathway of years and get pats on the back as you pass, but your final reward will be a heartache and tears if you cheated the man in the glass. And I'd just like to say that thanks to Rob Miklat, I can truly look in that glass and be proud of myself. So thank you.
The team at Miklat, truly varied as could be, all share sort of one fundamental quality, It's a deep-seated capacity for empathetic understanding. Born from the very lived experience that makes us kind of uniquely qualified to be of real aid to those still sick and suffering, we embody a commitment to help others in the very way we ourselves have been helped. There's no better example of this in action than our next speaker. Randy is adored by clients and staff alike at Miklat. His story is truly a glowing example of what's possible when we dedicate ourselves wholly to a program of recovery. Please help me welcome my friend, Randy.
Oh, hello, ladies and gentlemen. As mentioned, my name is Randy Mazeka. I am a graduate of Miklat and now a support staff at Miklat. It's been an interesting journey on the road to recovery, that is for sure. I guess how it started for me, when I was a youngster, I was kind of born into a family where addiction was very present. My mother struggled with it all throughout my young years. Her addiction ended up getting me and my older brother taken away at a very young age, where I would spend most of my young years in foster care. Obviously, being an angry, confused kid who didn't really understand what was going on around him, I kind of rebelled. I was in pain, and I wanted the world around me to be in pain. I ended up getting used to running away, all that stuff that a scared, confused kid would feel. And that obviously led me to the first time I was introduced to drugs. And I wasn't thinking about it at the time, but it made it extremely easy to run away from myself. For the first time ever, I didn't have to think about anything. I was able just to kind of, float in imagination. And, that's where it started. It was a weekend thing, and it just progressed. It's like Scott was sharing, the slavery of addiction, it is very much real. I got to the point where, my mind was completely consumed by the nature of escaping myself. And that slowly began to go into even worse things where I had no emotion. I didn't really feel anything anymore. I ended up becoming homeless in Calgary. And those were some of the toughest years of my life. But, it didn't matter. The only thing that I really cared about at that time was consuming drugs. I was a stimulant guy, so I had to go fast, and doing that kind of stuff, you don't sleep much. You go into what they call psychosis. I was basically a walking zombie. I lived under a bridge for 2 years of my life. I had completely lost hope in myself and everything around me. And my youngest kid was born, and he was taken into foster care. And that's where I think the first sign of a spark happened in me. And I knew that if I kept going, it was death, or I couldn't use substances anymore. So my battle to recovery started. I ended up getting clean in a homeless shelter in Seychelles, and it was probably the dumbest place in the world to try and get clean was inside a homeless shelter, because there was drugs all around, and so obviously my emotions started coming back, and I had no program. I had no support, nobody to guide me out of the darkness, so to speak. At this point in time too, I started feeling a spiritual pull. I wouldn't have said it was God at the time. I would say that it was a spiritual pull. I started noticing things, even looking back into my past, where I felt like something was reaching out for me. I think at that point in time, I decided I was gonna try it. I was gonna try that. I ended up really struggling and tried committing suicide. I ended up in a hospital where they gave me 2 pieces of paper, one to a single occupancy living home, or one to Miklat. And I decided to take Miklat. It was my 3rd treatment center trying. The first 2 didn't work out. I felt they were too much like the group homes I grew up in. So I ended up coming to Miklat. It took about 3 months on the waiting list, and it was the hardest 3 months of my life. But once I got to Miklat, I hid in my room for the first week. I wouldn't come out. But the staff slowly introduced me to the group atmosphere. And a huge shout out to Nina, the counselor at Miklat. Her groups were probably some of the most powerful things I've ever taken part in my life. The sharing in those rooms is next to none. It was there I saw that, you know, people can come from any walk of life but feel the same emotion. And it's that emotion we try and run from. And in seeing that, something really clicked in me. And, you know, I got to look back into my child. Like when I was a child, I used to envy kids with their parents and everything. And I was sitting in a room with a guy with his parents and everything, but he felt that same abandonment issue just for being left at daycare for too long over and over again. And it really clicked. It was like, you know, we're all alike, and we all suffer in the same way. And, you know, so as I progressed into recovery, I was given the opportunity to manage a second stage house. So I took that on. You know, I kept following the program that was in front of me. You know, we do NA and AA, and the NA program really worked for me. You know, it's a spiritual program, which, like I said, I came looking for a spiritual guide. Lo and behold, I ended up at Miklat, who focuses on a 12-step program. Now, this is a program that asks us to find a higher power. And, you know, I started coming to this church because kind gentlemen from this church would show up to Miklat every day and have for the 3 years I've been involved with Miklat to do Bible study with us. So huge shout out to you guys. Thank you very much for showing up every day. Your commitment has been next to none. So I got introduced to this church. And wow, what a comforting place this place is. This building needs an incredible amount to my recovery. Obviously, from my life, I am not a very social person, so coming into an atmosphere like this has been extremely hard for me. But as I was told, it gets easier and easier. So thank you guys so much for being so welcoming. Now, working at Miklat has been a blessing. Getting to see guys like Jason come through the program, and Sean to get up on the stage, only 4 or 5 months sober, and kill it. Seeing that kind of courage and knowing that you were there to help and give advice, as someone was there for me, like Rob and Mina and all the other counselors at Miklat. It's a rewarding feeling. You know, there's the saying where, you know, money can't buy happiness, but when you have a job and, you know, a focus on helping others, you are filled with something that words can't describe. And I'm very blessed to be standing here today, both a graduate and an employee of Miklat. And I thank you guys all so very much for showing up tonight and supporting us at Miklat. Your contributions and your support mean so much to the guys coming through the house, both now and in the future. So at this moment in time, I just want to look over to that table there where we have most of our current clients sitting and saying thank you guys so much for your support and all your hard work tonight for putting this together and putting it together. You guys are amazing. There's no way I could have done this in my early recovery. So, you know, thank you guys so much for being here, and thank you guys for listening.
Okay, Randy actually just alluded to this gentleman. Our next speaker is someone who's valued immensely for his longtime support of Miklat. His constant and unwavering commitment to bringing a Bible study to the core programming of our treatment center has been a steadfast act of both service and compassion. Please help me welcome Makana.
Good evening. It's so encouraging to look out and see so many people out here tonight. So many familiar faces and lots of people I haven't met. As he said, my name is Makana. I attend the church here with a bunch of these guys. It's me, Josh, Aaron, and John. We've been coming here for just over 3 years. It's been such a blessing. Coming and meeting these guys, being in that house, it's been life-changing for me. I had no idea what recovery and what addiction really looked like. And I met so many people, so many men that walked through those doors. I got to meet Randy when he first came. I remember so clearly seeing him, and then now look at him. I've just been so proud of these guys. It's been an amazing journey to be a small part of. I feel so blessed and so grateful, so thankful. And so when Rob asked me to come on, I was trying to think of like, what should I just talk about? And I realized that one of the first Bible studies we were sharing our stories, listening to their stories, and something clicked. It's funny that we were not that different. I mean, I myself struggled with addiction all throughout my life. I was addicted to drugs, pornography, success. There were so many things in my life that was broken. And I didn't go to recovery. I came to this building. I met an amazing group of people that I'm still grateful to call family now. And this church has been such a blessing in my life. And I was fortunate enough to meet Rob one morning, and we invited him over for barbecue. And we kind of clicked and started hanging out, and we started talking about Bible studies. And we had a small group of men here at this church that were doing a Bible study. And he said there was a couple of people at his recovery center that were interested. He said, come on out. So they started coming out to our Bible study, and there was so much interest that he said, okay, well, let's take it to their house. So that was just over 3 years ago. And we've been going every Wednesday night since. And I wouldn't miss it for the world. It's one of the highlights of my week. I'm so blessed to meet these men. Like Randy was saying, the honesty, the vulnerability, the sharing that goes on, the brotherhood in that house is special. And it's something that I was so fortunate to experience. It's been a massive impact in my life, and I know with the guys that come with me. So the amazing thing was that I realized that I got through my addiction. I met God. I came here, I started to search, and I found Jesus. And I was praying and asking him what he wanted, and all of a sudden, we were doing a Bible study at Miklat. And it was amazing to share our testimony and our stories with these guys and hear their stories, and them to be so similar. And so we were so lucky to have met so many amazing men that came through that house. I look around the room, and I don't know, so many of them walked through those doors, and I was fortunate just to hear them, to talk to them, to hear their stories, and it's been life-changing. We're so grateful for all the men that attend that house, for all the staff, for welcoming us into that place. It's really been special. And I know that God's going to continue to do amazing things. I've seen such success stories coming out of that house, men that have turned their lives around and are here with us tonight. So it's really near and dear to me to be there and to host this tonight. It's very special. So I'm so grateful for all of you being here tonight with us. So, Lord, thank you. Thank you for orchestrating all of this. Thank you for bringing us together, bringing these men to this place, to this house, Lord, that you could reveal yourself, reveal recovery. Lord, we know that you have a plan and purpose for every single man that walks through those doors. And so I just ask that you would continue to show yourself to us, to them, that your hand would be upon that house, that when people walk in, they would know that something's different because your presence is there. So thank you, Lord, for continuing to do miracles in their lives and in ours. I'm so grateful. Thank you. Thank you all.
Okay, amazing. So our last speaker, certainly not our least, is an individual without whom the very earliest conception of our recovery society would never have come to be. And the steady growth with which it's evolved and thrived would never have been made possible. I'd like now to introduce the co-founder of Miklat. Please help me welcome Sean.
Not a lot of people in here.
Recording.
Hi, everybody. How are you? Andy was supposed to go before me. Caught me off guard. Glad everybody could make it out. This is wonderful, and this is pretty exciting. I was able to make it a couple of years ago. It was a little short notice, but it's just nice to see the magic happening here. Rob warned me I have to stick to script, otherwise I get some loud music, and if I keep going, I get the hook. So allow me to be focused. I just want to preface by saying I'm no public speaker, and I'm pretty darn nervous. So So I'm just really glad that, I'm glad everybody can make it out to support what in my view is not only a necessary cause, but it is a gratifying investment in human lives. From the addict and alcoholic who's still struggling, to the families and the loved ones who are directly and indirectly affected by the disease of addiction. I'm very emotional for some reason, sorry. The investment and the return is real. I'm just glad everybody's here. My name is Sean Sarchuk. I know we're not a 12-step meeting here, but I'd like to start and address that I am a sober and grateful alcoholic and recovering addict. Some of you might be thinking, how can you be a grateful alcoholic? Well, you know, it's possible. Let me tell you, if I hadn't been driven in the dark abyss of addiction and survived, I never would have found the light and the new way of living outlined in the 12 steps. I came seeking help and reprieve from my using and my drinking, but almost 27 years later, I keep coming back because of my thinking. And that's why I'm still coming, sticking around. Just so you know, it looks like a lot of pages, but I write really big. I have really bad eyes. Don't be scared. So you know, my drinking and my using, they were just symptoms of something much deeper inside that drove me to act out in so many unhealthy and poor behaviors. The 12 steps have helped me to look deep into those deep, dark crevices, free myself from the bondage of self, guilt, and shame. And they've led me to a place where I could analyze not only my defects, but also look at my assets that were maybe tarnished over by negative self-talk and perception, to grow and to do so in attempted humility. From there, I became accountable for my poor past behaviors. I learned the freedom that comes from putting into action, righting my wrongs, not just saying sorry for the 100th time, but actually coming up and asking, I'm aware of how I've wronged you, what can I do to make it right? I said sorry many times. Nothing changed. The doors that I've opened internally and externally have been numerous, and as I've already said, free. Eventually, I was brought to a new awareness, a new version of gratitude. You see, my views of gratitude and happiness were skewed and used to look something like this. I'll be happy when I get that new girlfriend, that next job, the new car, I don't know, fine. Fill in the blank with something physical, external, shiny, that would be kind of where I was at. But today, here's what gratitude looks like for me most of the time. Not consistent, but you know, we'll aim for 70%, that's pretty good. The smile of my little puppies, I love my pups. The contentment of others with no expectations on my part. My family, feeling secure and safe. Being able to get up in the morning knowing I have a job, a purpose in life. Looking in the mirror, accepting and loving myself for who I am. Kind of like Biff Naked, I love myself today. So there you go, if Biff was here. Seeing others in recovery realize there's a new way to live. That yesterday's journey got them here, but it does not define who they are today and who they will be tomorrow. Today, I can say that I'm happy to see others do well in life. Envy is no longer part of my vocabulary. That's just a touchstone of what my gratitude looks like today. I'm going to briefly share a little bit on my history and what got me here. Hope you guys are okay with that. We're going to hear a lot of commonalities here. But addiction and alcoholism, well, this is where it takes us. I was born in Hamilton, Ontario in 1968. I know, I don't look a day over 58, I'm sure. My mom was 18, my dad was 19. And although I was born in Hamilton, my roots are in Simcoe, a southern town in Ontario, of about 50,000 people in Norfolk County. My parents were young, and they weren't meant to be as a couple. They did, however, instill me the notion that hard work paid off, as well as by example, the meaning of love unconditionally. My mom, my dad, my lovely stepmom Sharon, they never made me feel unloved. And love, it's not a bad foundation to have. Sadly, love alone could not save me from what became the turbulent flight path of life. I was defiant as a child, in public school right through to adulthood. Even now I have that rebel streak in me. However, when I pause and pray before I act, the consequences of my obstinate ways certainly seem to be less destructive and not so painful. My life was failing grade 1 almost twice. I'm an overachiever, you heard that right, grade 1 almost twice. And I got scrapped repetitively in public school. I got constant 4-day suspensions in high school. And of course, my criminal defiant ways led to jails and a criminal record. I started drinking on weekends in middle school, which was grade 7 and 8 in Ontario. I would drink the blackout states, usually thrown up on some poor friend's shag rug, remember those? Yeah. Or something of the sort. The progression of my alcoholism was such that by the end of grade 8, going into grade 9, I was drinking almost daily. And for lack of a better term, in a controlled state, meaning less blackouts and less of those awkward puking moments. Before entering grade 9, which would be our first year of high school, I made my first denial, lie to myself that I recall, which was, I will never do drugs. By the second week of high school, I was using soft drugs. Along with my drinking, within a month after that, I was selling them. My second lie was, never the hard stuff. My third and longest fit to myself was, I can control this. That state of delusional thinking continued on until it couldn't anymore. So I'm not going to go into a litany of my drama, my horror stories regarding my addiction. We've seen the movies, we've read the books, we've heard some stories tonight. Some here have lived them firsthand as the addict and alcoholic. So as parents, spouses, grandparents, siblings, children, coaches, teachers. It's not easy watching someone we love and care about have the lights crumble about them repetitively. I've been both. I've been the suffering addict, and I've been the heartbroken loved one. With some ambivalence, I've learned to realize I can only save myself from addiction by utilizing the tools I've learned in recovery. But I'm also so powerless over others in their journey. Simply saying, I'm here today to carry the message to the addict who still suffers, but not the addict themselves. That can be hard at times because it's a fine line between enabling and being supportive, and sometimes it's really hard to see. And I know that for a fact. My sobriety date is April 2nd, 1998, which means I haven't had a drink or a drug in my body in the 21st century. It's amazing how the time flies when I learn to tackle life's problems one day at a time, sometimes 1 minute at a time, sometimes 1 second at a time. I can't remember the timeline of my last week running the seemingly endless and tiring race of my addiction, but it ended like this. A weak and futile attempt on my own life in a cemetery in East Vancouver. From there, with the help of my mom and her boyfriend, Larry, they took me to the psych ward at BGH in Vancouver, and then they stabilized me. After a few days, on April 1st, 1998, April Fool, okay? They put me in a cab to the Harbor Light Detox on East Cordova on the downtown east side. The cab dropped me off half an hour early, and they wouldn't let me in. 4 doors up there lived a friend of mine, we'll call him Pierre. At about 7:30 a.m., I knocked on Pierre's door, and I used. 30 minutes later, I walked into Harbor Light, having no idea what would happen next. Recovery wasn't really part of my discussion, the places I was hanging out. Never heard of it, never been there, never done it. I had no idea what would happen next. All I knew was I was scared and I'd run out of options. That morning was the last time today that I've used a mind-altering substance. Now here's what happened in detox. It's kind of a common theme. I was given a list of treatment centers and recovery houses. I called everyone on the list. The responses were pretty consistent. Do you have money? Can you come for an interview in 2 weeks? A woman at detox approached me and said I was pretty much on my last allowable day at detox. She also gave me a number of a new place in Port Coquitlam called Resurrection House. I called it, and a man named Freddie, shout out to Freddie, said he was coming down to see me, and he did. He and his entourage sat with me at Harbor Light, and he asked me 2 questions. Do you want your life back? And will you commit to 90 days? My response was pretty clear there, I think. It was, yes, sir, but I don't have any money. And all Freddie said to me was, that's okay, it's about the recovery, not the money. He said, I'll pick you up tomorrow. That unknown angel at Salvation Army, that lady, don't know her name. But I wish I did, and she gave me that one extra night to stay. I'll keep my tenure brief at Resurrection House. It's now known as Hope for Freedom Society. They're still going. The man who was 6 months sober when he did my intake is now the executive director there. He just celebrated his 27 years in September, and we're still friends all these years later. But I can tell you this, they kept their promise and they gave me my life back. Step 12 states, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and addicts and to practice these principles in all our affairs. It's important to note that it says, in all our affairs. Not just with fellow folks in recovery, not just when it's convenient, it means what it says, all, which to me translates to help and be part of this world as a whole. It also uses the word tried, meaning to make an attempt. We're human, we're fallible. The key is the willingness to become better. And to become better citizens of the world and not give up on elevating our brothers and sisters, and to put that willingness into action. This is what Freddie did for me. This is what Miklat Society does in Powell River. This is what organizations like Together We Can is doing with passion, compassion, love, and empathy. Miklat could not have aligned itself with a better group of people. Miklat and TWC joining forces is a recipe for success. Success for not only the alcoholic and addict seeking a new way to live, but also for the loved ones who get their husbands, their wives, their moms, their dads, their brothers and sisters. They get their children back. It was stated in Rob's earlier that the new McGuffey building is slated to be open in apparently June 2025. I didn't know the exact date. Providing 12 more men's beds. And the North Star Recovery Program for women is tentatively scheduled to open for late spring. We will be able to firsthand witness these miracles. We'll see families heal, generational cycles of addiction and trauma will be broken. Despair will turn into hope. It's happening now. As you can see, it's in this room. It's all around us. You know, like a cat. Listen to the music tonight. That was magic, by the way, cat. I sat in one group with that man. I didn't know he was so talented. I mean, he told me how talented he was. No, he didn't. He's very talented. But they're not just Christmas miracles. These are everyday miracles. And, well, I'm one of them. I'm not supposed to be here right now. Yet here I am. I suppose you could say I've been transformed. Look at me. From dope dealer to hope dealer. Right? You know that? I'm not alone. Tonight, every person in this room is helping to feed the hope and make it reality. So thank you to all of you as well. All these programs provided by Together We Can are not possible without people like you. Miklat, North Star, All My Relations, the Indigenous program that incorporates culture, traditions, and ceremonies to address substance use disorder with Indigenous men. None of this is possible without public support. So thank you tonight. We're all hope dealers today. And let's give ourselves some applause for all of us. You know what, while we're at it, let's give a hand of, you know what, we have tonight's speakers. You guys were amazing. The volunteers, the staff who made this hall, our clients, you guys did an amazing job. You know, hats off to all of you. It's amazing. And of course, that amazing meal. Steve, you were able to bring my diabetic levels up tonight because I did eat dessert, but convenient Chef Steve, thank you, wherever you are, grateful for it. Sorry. Thank you. Yeah, it was a good dinner. All the things I'm not supposed to have. Thanks, Anne, for letting me be naughty tonight. All right. As we approach this Christmas, I know it's a different meaning and nuance for each and every one of us, each individual. For many, it can be their first. For my grandson, it's going to be his first Christmas. For some, it may be their first without a loved one. Or it could be your first clean and sober Christmas. I remember mine. My birthday's day after Christmas. You can all send me a card. It was hard. Because my Christmas looked like this. It started on the 24th and it ended on the 27th. And there was a lot of darkness and sadness there. Christmas also is an opportunity to bring family and friends together. The ones we love and adore, and the ones who test our patience and serenity. We have all hopefully crossed past the Christmas zone. It can be gifts, food, newly made memories. Whatever Christmas is to you, that is yours, you own it. I only ask that when walking down the street, and we walk past someone lost in their addiction, homelessness, they're downtrodden, let us not forget that person, our fellow human being, was at one time someone's baby. I'm not saying bring them home for turkey dinner. You can if you want. I'm not recommending it, but you can if you like. But I'm just asking to show some compassion and some empathy, because we were all someone's baby at one time. I think I'd like to close on this note. If it wasn't for a place like Miklat, I'd not be here today. I would not be here in beautiful Powell River, which was very kind to me. I moved here twice, and I've left here twice, but my heart's always here. And it really is God's country. I've never seen sunsets like anywhere like this. But if it wasn't for a safe environment of love, compassion, and understanding, such as Miklat likely wouldn't be here today. If it wasn't for an organization like Together We Can, who is staffed by 95% of people in recovery, lived experience. This is people in recovery giving back, being part of life. It's amazing. We would lose more of our brothers and sisters to this relentless and unbiased disease if it wasn't for these organizations. So, abstinence alone and on your own can be very uncomfortable and unsatisfying. But recovery, well, again, look at the room. See the smiles? Hear the laughter. This is what recovery looks like. There's a solution. I myself am living in it. I almost missed my life, but thank goodness I was doing this program where recovery. And today I'm not just alive, I'm living life. Life is a we program, and it takes all of us together to get through it. So I want to thank you all again for coming out, giving me your attention, and showing showing that you care. I want to say good night, safe travels to everybody, Merry Christmas, and we are all miracles. So thank you.